Interesting why they wouldn't let him in. All right, John Glasgow, thank you for that live update there outside the courthouse. Now let's bring in John Chell. John served as the NYPD chief of department just until last year and has some very unique insight on how these cases are handled. John, it's always good to have you. Wish it was under better circumstances. You know, it's their IEDs. 2 days in a row, they're looking into what this third one is. But talk to us about these suspects in daylight, brazen. You know, they say they're teenagers. They're 18 and 19. Reports were they traveled to Turkey and the Middle East to be radicalized. This is a major concern, threats to the homeland. How do you think that, how wide could they be working with other people? What do you think the investigators are looking at today, John?
Well, they got the indictment. So the hard part, good police work, aggressive police work, making the arrest quickly, but now the long, arduous task of going through basically their life, their social media, their family, their friends, their cell phones, anything that could tie them to a bigger conspiracy, if there is one. I'm not saying there is, but there's a lot of work, to your point, to brazenly just drive up here from Pennsylvania with 3 very deadly devices, and to just think you're going to do that in the middle of a protest with hundreds of cops there, very distorted thinking, very, very scary. But did they do this on their own? That remains to be seen. And you know, the Southern District and the FBI will be looking into this greatly, obviously.
We know they are. It was interesting to watch as this was breaking on the air, and I was covering it moment by moment. You had Eric Adams saying, you know, we should not be surprised. You had Mayor Mamdani thanking police for responding, someone who really hasn't been very pro back the blue. But there's this tweet here I want you to react to. President of the Manhattan Borough President Brad Holyman Signal, initially blaming it on white Christian nationalists, said that they were the ones who targeted the mayor there. It is now a since deleted tweet, did not age well. What do you make of this rush to judgment here? And of course, the narrative, it is not white Christian nationalists. There really wasn't a rush to judgment. These are people who are saying ISIS.
It really wasn't a rush to judgment because our Democratic apparatus here went silent. And then when they did rush to judgment a day later, they tried to blame it on white supremacy. And it was wrong. This was terrorism. It was terrorism. And to say otherwise is really cowardly and feckless, to be honest with you.
You know, DHS is not completely funded. There's strikes happening right now in Iran. New York, obviously, is a place that is a target for many people who want to do harm to Americans. John, what is your message to people playing politics on the left, not just in New York, but also in our nation's capital, as we look at the landscape here of New York City? And honestly, it could be anywhere.
There is no time for politics. We have to keep the homeland safe. We got to fund DHS. We need all our civilians to see something, to say something. We need all of our law enforcement at the top of their game, vetting every lead. It's getting very dicey out here, especially in New York City. Everyone has to do their part as a collective and protect our communities, protect our cities, our states, and our country. To do otherwise is non-American and, quite frankly, foolish and dangerous.
John Chell, pleasure to have you, sir. We'll continue to watch these suspects as they move through the legal system and appreciate you as always.
Have a great day.